I babysat for $500 cash. I'll never do it again. I almost didn't take the job. Something about the ad felt off. Looking for responsible sitter. One night only. Good pay. Cash. Must follow instructions. That was it. No details about the kid, no address, nothing about the hours. Just a burner Gmail account to reply to. I was broke enough to overlook all that. My rent was due in 3 days, and my fridge was down to half a jar of pickles and an expired yogurt. So I sent a message, figuring I wouldn't get a reply. I got one back in less than an hour. Thank you for reaching out. The job is simple. Watch our son, Matthew, from 7 p.m. midnight. $500 cash. Please do not let him look into mirrors. Please do not answer the door if someone knocks and claims to be us. Address attached. I stared at the screen, rereading the message. No mirrors. Don't open the door. Those weren't instructions. Those were warnings. But again, $500. $500 for 5 hours of sitting on a couch while a kid sleeps? I could ignore the creepiness for that. The house was out in the suburbs, tucked away at the end of a cul-de-sac with no streetlights. Every house on the street was dark except theirs, a faint yellow glow behind heavy curtains. The parents greeted me at the door. They looked normal, almost aggressively normal, like the kind of people you'd see in stock photos. Mom in a cardigan, Dad in khakis, both smiling too wide. We're so glad you could make it, the mom said, ushering me inside. Matthew's upstairs, already in his room. I nodded, clutching my backpack strap. Any, allergies? Bedtime routine? The dad cut me off. The instructions in the email are the most important. Don't let him near mirrors. Don't answer the door. Right, I said, trying to sound casual. Can I ask why? The mom's smile faltered for half a second, but she recovered fast. Just follow them. We'll be back at midnight. $500 cash, like we promised. Before I could press further, they slipped out the door. The lock clicked. The house felt wrong once they left. Too quiet. Not the cozy, suburban quiet where you can hear the hum of a fridge or a distant dog bark. This was sterile. Like the silence in an empty hospital wing. I wandered through the downstairs. Every reflective surface was either missing or covered, the bathroom mirror gone, the TV screen draped with a sheet, even the glass in the picture frames replaced with paper. The air prickled against my skin. I checked on the kid. Matthew was sitting cross-legged on his bed, staring at me when I opened the door. He looked about 8. Blonde hair, pale skin, dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. Hi, I said, forcing a smile. I am your babysitter. He didn't answer. Just blinked at me slowly, then asked, do you know which ones are real? My stomach dropped. What do you mean? The people, he said. His voice was flat, like he was reciting something. Sometimes they're not them. Sometimes they're copies. I laughed nervously. Thatsu, that's creepy. Where'd you hear that? He tilted his head, bird-like. From the other Matthew. I swallowed. The other Matthew? He pointed toward the darkened window. He comes when the glass is open. I pulled the curtains shut tighter. The first knock came around 8:30. 3 slow raps on the front door. I froze on the couch, my phone in hand. The instructions screamed in my head. Don't answer the door. Another knock. Louder this time. Hey, Iman's voice called, muffled through the wood. It's us. We forgot something inside. The parents. My pulse thudded in my ears. It sounded like the dad but flatter, like someone replaying a recording through a bad speaker. I crept closer, careful not to touch the knob. We just need to come in for a second, the voice said. Behind me, I heard movement on the stairs. Matthew was standing halfway down, clutching the railing, staring at the door with wide eyes. That's not them, he whispered. The knocking stopped. The hours dragged. Every time I thought the house was quiet again, something else happened. 9:15. I heard footsteps pacing the upstairs hallway. Heavy, deliberate. Except Matthew was sitting on the floor next to me, coloring with broken crayons. 9:47. The TV, even with the sheet over it, flickered to life with static. I yanked the plug from the wall. It kept flickering for a full 10 seconds before finally going black. 10:22. Another knock. This time the mom's voice. Please. He's dangerous. Let us in before it's too late. Matthew started crying, covering his ears. I didn't open the door. At 11 o'clock, I heard whispering. Not from the door this time. From upstairs. I crept up, leaving Matthew on the couch with my phone flashlight. The whispers grew louder as I reached his bedroom. The door was cracked open. Inside, the moonlight from the window illuminated a figure sitting on the bed. Matthew. Except I'd left him downstairs. This Matthew looked identical but wrong, the way a wax figure almost looks real until you see the eyes. His lips moved, whispering to himself, words I couldn't quite make out. Then he snapped his head toward me. I slammed the door shut and bolted down the stairs. The real Matthew was exactly where I'd left him. He looked up at me with tears streaking his face. You saw him, he said. I didn't answer. 11:40. The knocking came again. Both voices this time, the mom and dad in perfect unison. Let us in. The door rattled like they were trying to break it down. Matthew was shaking, curled against me on the couch. Don't, he begged. If you let them in, they'll take you instead. The pounding grew violent, wood splintering. I dragged Matthew with me into the kitchen, searching for a back exit. That's when I noticed the one uncovered reflective surface left in the house, the oven door. And in it, I saw myself. Except my reflection wasn't moving the same way I was. I staggered back, nearly dropping Matthew. The other me smiled, wide and wrong, teeth too many for a human mouth. The reflection pressed its palm against the glass from the inside. A hairline crack snaked across the oven door. Midnight couldn't come fast enough. I huddled in the kitchen with Matthew, the pounding from the front door shaking the walls, the whispering upstairs turning into full-on giggles. And my reflection grinning from the oven, cracks spider webbing wider with every second. I thought I was going to break. Then the noise stopped. All at once. The clock on the microwave blinked 12 a.m. The front door swung open. The parents walked in, smiling, normal again. You did well, the mom said. She handed me an envelope of cash. My hands shook as I took it. What the hell is wrong with this house? With him? I pointed at Matthew, who clung to my leg. The dad crouched down, prying the boy off me. He's not our son, he said simply. My mouth went dry. What? We lost Matthew years ago, the mom said. But things still come through. Things that look like him. Things that look like us. We can't get rid of them, only contain them. They each took one of Matthew's hands. He didn't fight, just looked back at me with hollow eyes. You did your job, the dad said. You kept him from escaping. That's all we needed. And before I could say a word, they led him upstairs. The door slammed shut behind them. I stumbled outside, clutching the envelope, the night air biting my lungs. When I got home, I dumped the cash onto my kitchen table. Every bill was crisp, perfect. Except when I flipped them over, the faces weren't of presidents. They were of me, smiling, too wide, with too many.
I scammed my husband into liking me and I admitted it on our wedding day. Admitted in my vows, actually, in front of all of our guests. For me, it was love at first sight for my now husband. Not so much for him. I was his little sister's friend, strapped with braces and constant tween giggling. He was the older, much hotter, couldn't care less older brother just down the hall. I obviously had no shot. Later, we met again through mutual friends, now both of age, no headgear. I was just as starstruck. He was still just as cute. And this time I actually had a chance. I wasn't going to blow it. I invited him to crash at my place after a friend's birthday party and I had staged the place. I had casually left out a t-shirt of his favorite football team. You know, just tossed on the back of a chair. Oops, how did that get there? I left a CD of his favorite band on my nightstand because obviously, that's what any casual fan does. I love them too, duh. I had his favorite beer in the fridge. YEP, I 100,000% drink this beer too. It doesn't taste like piss water to me at all. Was I a complete weirdo for doing this? Yes. Did it work perfectly? Also, yes. It also made for perfect wedding vows. His sister, a bridesmaid, was only a little miffed to find out I was using our hangouts as study sessions on her older brother. Just kidding, she thought it was hilarious and knew we all thought he was cute. Etta, to the people who think this is weird -1. I already own the shirt local school, my dad's shirt and CD because I genuinely like them. I just made sure they were visible. 2. I don't care. Am super into my husband, Sumi. Edit 2. Whoa, this is getting a lot of attention. Sorry so many of you seem to be offended by this. I definitely made this more dramatic for flair than it is, but I guess too much. It was just a shirt and a CD I already own, people. He thought it was funny, and we've been happily together for many years. Give the hate a rest.
My parents have always favored my sister over me, and I finally realized it's broken me more than I ever wanted to admit. I, 22 meters, grew up in a house where love always seemed to have conditions. I have one sibling, a younger sister named Emily 19F. And from the time we were old enough to walk and talk, it was clear she was the favorite. Everyone in our extended family could see it. Everyone except my parents, who still insist they treat us the same. When we were little, it didn't feel like a big deal. Emily was cute, bubbly, always smiling, the kind of kid who could charm anyone in 10 seconds. I was quieter, more reserved. I liked to read, draw, and build stuff. She liked attention, and she always got it. My mum would fawn over her outfits, take 100 pictures before school, and post them online. For me, it was just, go stand next to your sister so I can get one picture of you both. Birthdays were the first thing I noticed. Emily's birthdays were events of big parties, decorations, piles of gifts, everyone singing. Family coming from out of town. My birthdays were quieter. A small cake from the grocery store and maybe a gift or two if my parents remembered. I remember being 10 and asking for a bike. They said money was tight. 2 weeks later, Emily got a brand new pink scooter just because she had been so good lately. I remember watching her ride it around the driveway while my mum chewed and took photos. I just sat on the porch and tried not to cry. As we got older, the pattern never changed, it just got more subtle, more painful. Emily got praised for everything, no matter how small. If she got a B on a test, my parents would tell her how proud they were. If I got an A, my dad would just nod and say, "That's what we expect from you." When Emily messed something up, it was always someone else's fault or she's still learning. When I made a mistake, it was you need to start being more responsible. I remember one time in middle school, I got an art award for a drawing that got featured in a local exhibit. My mum said she couldn't make it to the event because she had to take Emily to her dance practice. My dad said he was too tired from work. I ended up standing there alone, watching other parents take pictures with their kids, holding flowers. I told myself it didn't matter, but it did. It always did. High school made the gap even wider. Emily joined dance teams, and my parents poured thousands into costumes, makeup, hotel stays, and travel for competitions. When I wanted to join the basketball team, I needed new shoes. My dad told me sports are expensive and you should be focusing on school anyway. He always said that I should be grateful that they weren't pushing me into anything. What he meant was, we don't care enough to support you. She failed her driver's test twice. They laughed it off and said, "She's just nervous." When I failed mine once, my dad told me I was irresponsible and needed to get my act together. At 16, I got a job bagging groceries to save for a car. I worked weekends after school. During breaks, I was so proud of myself when I finally bought a used 1998 Honda Civic. When Emily turned 16, they bought her a brand new Toyota Corolla. It's safer for her, they said. I didn't say anything. I just smiled because by that point, I'd learned that being upset only made me the problem. The thing that broke me the most was when she crashed that same Corolla about 6 months later. Because she was texting and driving. Totally wrecked it. My parents' reaction? It's okay, sweetie. We're just glad you're safe. A couple of months later, she had another new car in the driveway. When I told my mom my Civic was having engine trouble and I couldn't afford repairs, she said, "You need to learn how to manage your money better." I just said okay and went back to my room. That was the night I realized how little I really mattered to them. When I got accepted into college, I told my parents and they said, "That's great. How are you planning to pay for it?" No excitement, no congratulations. When Emily got into college this year, they threw her whole party of decorations, food, relatives coming over, champagne. They made a slideshow of her photos growing up and posted it online with the caption, "Our baby girl is going places." I watched from the corner, pretending I was fine, but I was shaking inside. I graduated college this past May. I was the first in our family to ever earn a degree. I invited my parents months in advance, sent them the date, the time, everything. They said they'd try to make it. The day came and I looked for them in the crowd. They weren't there. I walked across that stage, hearing everyone else's families cheering, and all I could think was how empty the room felt. Later that night, my mom texted me, "Sorry we couldn't come. We were exhausted from helping Emily move into her new apartment. No congratulations. No, we're proud of you." Just that. I sat on my bed and cried for the first time in years. It wasn't even sadness at that point, it was just this deep, hollow feeling. A few weeks later, my mum called to tell me they were having a family dinner to celebrate Emily getting into some special program at her college. I told her I couldn't make it because I had to work late. She sighed and said, "You could make time if it mattered to you." That was it. Something in me snapped. I told her everything years of frustration and pain came out all at once. I told her how I felt invisible my entire life, how they've always treated Emily like she could do no wrong, and how every achievement of mine has been brushed aside like it was nothing. I told her I was tired of pretending it didn't hurt anymore. She got defensive immediately, told me I was twisting things and that they love both their kids equally. My dad joined in, saying, "You've always been so sensitive. You need to grow up and stop keeping score." That's the line they always use when they're guilty, "Stop keeping score." As if acknowledging pain is petty. I hung up the phone and sat there for a long time. Then I packed a bag, called a friend, and moved into a small apartment closer to work. My parents called me dramatic and ungrateful. Said I was breaking the family apart. But for the first time, I didn't care. I wasn't leaving out of anger, I was leaving for peace. It's been a few months now. In still healing, still unpacking all the ways that kind of childhood messes with your head. You start believing that love has to be earned. That you have to constantly prove your worth just to deserve attention. I'm in therapy now and for the first time in starting to believe that maybe I wasn't the problem. Maybe I was just born into a family that only had enough space for one favorite. The irony is, a few days after I moved out, Emily texted me. She said, "They're freaking out about you. They keep saying you're being dramatic, but honestly I get it." That one message meant more than anything my parents have ever said to me. I don't hate my family. I don't even think they realize what they've done. But I can't keep living my life waiting for their validation. I used to think if I worked hard enough, achieved enough, or was just good enough, they'd finally see me. But that moment never comes. It never will. So I've decided to stop waiting for them to love me the way I needed. I'm learning to love myself instead. If anyone out there grew up as the unfavored kid, I just want to say I see you. It's not jealousy. It's grief. You're grieving the family you should have had, the parents who should have cared, the moments that should have mattered. And even if they never change, you can still heal. You can build your own peace, your own family, your own worth. Because no matter how hard they tried to make you feel small, you were always enough. You just needed someone to tell you that.